Are we visible? Are we visible on the big screen? I don't know if we are. I'm just kind of like sorting stuff out at the moment. Discord is saying that I'm visible. Okay. Here we are. Just open Ko-fi up. And when we're ready to go, we'll be ready to go. Sup, Shredders? My name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to NSB Livestreams number 20, where today, for just $6, you can have yourself a track of your choice. You can have yourself a track reviewed. It can be on Spotify, or it can be on YouTube or whatever, and we switch over to here. We've got it here. Yes, the queue is open if you are interested. If you are not, that is totally fine. Whatever works best for you. I'm sure that's probably sounding a little bit loud in the headphones, but that's okay. I was a little bit late today, but just simply because I was watching anime and lost track of time a little bit. You know, anime is a good time. Suppose we're into chat time. Yeah, are we into chat time? Nah. Hang on, let me just make that big. Is that good? Usually put that down a little bit, don't we? Yeah, there we go. So I suppose before we get into things, it's most likely that I will be doing, having surgery done in a week's time or a week or two's time. I don't know why it was suddenly caps. It just had a spasm or something like that. The captions just had a spasm or something like that. But basically, I'm going to be having surgery, and I'm going to be going in, and I won't be able to do any videos for a week. Basically, it's to fix my nose. So my nose will be out of action, I suppose, for a bit. So just so you're aware, there probably won't be a live stream that weekend, but it's not the next weekend, it's the following one. So just in case you're curious or interested in any way, shape, or form with the live streams, that's basically where I will be as absent. Next weekend, we have a live stream with... we have a live stream of Jacob's album. So after last weekend, we had a few people get in touch about doing Britney Spears' album Blackout. And I mentioned in the previous patron video on the playlist that if people were in the $12 tier, they would not only get a monthly custom music review, but then they would also get a... because that for real is live, isn't it? Yeah, it is. So it is live. We've got an excellent connection. Just making sure things are all good on that end. Just because sometimes I forget, and then I'm like, well, where was the live stream, you know? But basically, next weekend, Jacob's got his album pick. So we're doing an album review the following Sunday. Tomorrow, we're going to be checking out BTS Top 5, simply because I'm morbidly curious about BTS and what they do. And I think that'll be cool, you know, to check out BTS's Top 5, because I've been wanting to do it for quite a while. I initially wanted to go through their discography, but that's quite a lot, you know. Going through an entire discography of a band, and after the 7-hour Zhang Yuxing live stream, video that I did, I haven't done one since because it's so much work, and because this house stuff has been stressing me out. Sup, Blue Dinner Box? How you going? Hopefully you're well. Welcome to the live stream. But yeah, so Jacob's album live stream is next weekend. That'll be the Sunday. We'll have another one of these SP requests on the Saturday. And then the following weekend, there will be no live stream because I'll be recovering from surgery to get my nose fixed so that I won't sound so nasal all the time, and so that I can breathe through my nose, and so that I'll be able to sleep properly for the first time in 20 years. I'm excited to be able to sleep properly. I don't know if you know what it's like to have a nose that doesn't work. But I do. And again, I'm not going to make a big deal out of it, especially because I'm getting it fixed. But just it's going to be good to be able to breathe through my nose properly. I suppose without further ado, we'll have a chat. We'll look through music news. So if we go to music news here. Wow, that's really depressing. I could be dead next year as the musician. Yep, okay, well. Music industry moves, Oscar Maiden's indie label, Ings Victor Mendevel. FCCP stages glamorous music and fashion fundraiser for scholars. Tomorrowland, because I think Tomorrowland, they had a massive fire. I think they had a massive fire at the thing. Like, where was the Tomorrowland fire? If we find it, yeah, absolutely. So like this was at Tomorrowland, and it's this website's so poorly designed. It doesn't even show the image. It's just lots of ads. The mirror is just a complete dumpster fire. How do I get out of it? Yeah, absolutely. So is it this? Well, there we go. You can see the fire here, you know. Tomorrowland. What happened? Videos. Yeah. It's horrific, man. So I'm glad that they were able to continue with the concert despite that. You know, I feel bad for the people who went and were looking forward to it and who lost money on it, but at the same time, it's great that they can continue. Here is this. I don't want to look at this. I just want to be able to read the thing. No, it's not. Yeah, so it won't let me do it. You can't see it without a paywall. It's all right. Just wanted to sort of learn more about it. So we've got music news, I suppose. Youngblood releases live cover of Black Sabbath's Changes. Spoiler alert, Bruce Dickinson says Iron Maiden are only just getting started. So apparently Iron Maiden are doing some stuff, so that's kind of cool. Ellen Bergman dies, age 99. Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham fuel Fleetwood Mac. Reunion speculation. Wouldn't be surprised. You know, they're a good band. But you could probably be a good moneymaker for them if they got back together. Nicole Scherzinger reveals she once found... yeah. This has been pretty wild. You know, Chris Martin expresses remorse after exposing Chitty CEO. It's just the worst way to find out, I suppose. One of the worst ways to find out, you know. First music news, Enemy. After record-setting rainfall, Bonnaroo to return in 2026 after all with these changes. Great. I'm glad that they're going to try it again. It's great that they're continuing to sort of like try these events and concerts and make sort of a name for themselves. It's great that Black Sabbath was able to do their final show there. That's really cool. Crazy. Oh, okay. Oh, crazy. So they really do not like Keir Starmer. Crazy. So this is an Irish band. Oh. Hmm. Man shot dead while singing Linkin Park at karaoke night. Why? Oh, crazy. So there's not a lot of music news that I can tell aside from a few things about concerts and stuff like that. Yeah. They really like their ads. They're a lot more aggressive than they used to be with it, eh? But I suppose how else are they going to make money with people using ad blockers, ironically? Apparently, we have a track through from Dinner Hay, so we're going to check that out now. Thank you to Dinner Hay for your request. So we've got commissions. There we go. Thanks for your request. And what do we got? Dinner has got this. What is the song that we have sent through? Oh, Ethel Kane. Cool, cool, cool. So this is Ethel Kane with fuck me eyes. All right, let's do it. What we got from Dinner Hay today?
She really gets around town in her own Cadillac, and her mom's jeans that she cut to really show off her ass. She's got her makeup done and her high heels on. She's got her hair up to God. She's gonna get what she wants. Her nails are heartbreak red, 'cause she's a bad motherfucker, and all the boys wanna love her when she bets her fuck me eyes.
It's got this interesting sort of dreamy aesthetic to it. I'm not sure what tone they're going for though.
She goes to church, straight from the clubs. They say she looks just like her mama. Before the drugs, she just laughs and says, I know. She really taught me well. She's no good at raising children, but she's good at raising hell. Her daddy keeps her in a box, but it's no good. The boys can't get enough of her and her honey. Fuck me eyes.
I mean, they're a great storyteller. You know, there's various angles to it. Interesting decision to have the kind of screech and feedback of the guitars there for a bit of extra tension. It's an interesting move, for sure. Hi Jacob, how you doing today? Welcome to the live stream. Great run there. And unfortunately, that's the 5-minute mark. So let's have a talk about this track from Ethel Cain titled Fuck Me Eyes. Misread the title by Fuck My Eyes first time. Yeah, I can understand that one. It's fairly sort of like on the nose. My interpretation of it personally is that it is a track about a woman who knows exactly how they want it to dress, how they want it to sort of be perceived by people. They've got an agenda and a direction, and they are just trying to feel good and find purpose in their life. And I think it's basically just the difficulties they have in trying to find actual worth outside of their body and what people want and expect from them. They don't want to take them home, they just want to take them out. And it's an interesting angle from Ethel Cain later on, talking about how like they feel about that person. So I'm wondering if it's an actual experience that Ethel has gone through or someone else they know in their life. I imagine it might be. And I think this has been released as of this month. So thank you to Dinnerhay for putting this through. It's great to hear some new music from Ethel Cain, as I don't get the chance to listen to her stuff that often outside of reviews. They make great music. So one of the things that was done really well here is the kind of chill nature of the way it was described. There was some heavy stuff that was spoken about by Ethel, but it's this kind of, it's a mix of melancholy, but also a clear kind of frustration at times. There are some really sort of like wonderful, really sweet melodies here with the major and minor movements here that harmonize neatly with the rest of the elements within the mix. And it's just really soft and soothing for a lot of it there. We also have some really neat little sort of tails and flickers and movements on the ends of some of those vocal lines, which sound really cool. And yeah, we develop as we go through. So the vocals are handled really neatly. I think it's almost the kind of nostalgic, kind of vintage fuzziness of the entire piece as a whole there. It reminds me of the 80s with a lot of those sort of synth lead patterns there and the sparkle that they have. The use of the guitar, bass, and drums with a lot of reverb attached, some sort of like gritty textures there, a bit of feedback occasionally kind of makes me think of a continued kind of build there over time, working towards kind of like a release of some sort, almost like we're trying to figure out what we're thinking about this person in the first place. And if we go, I mean, like, it's really well mixed as well. The production is tight, but it's also just a lot of the color initially comes from the vocals, and as the instruments sort of peter, come in and they add like more nuance there. It becomes more pointed texturally. For example, with some of those guitar feedbacks we have later on there, and the way that kind of like things span forward, and there's multiple vocal takes and harmonies there as well, which are really neat. But ultimately, just a really sensibly written track there that has enough color to leave intrigue and enough sort of like reverb delay to make it sort of like mysterious and mystical sounding. I think the final thing I want to mention, aside from again the production being on point, is the actual structuring of the track. How like we continue to have further more and more information as we go through, but it's kind of wonderful how well they've written things so that things never become too sort of generic and uninteresting. When you get to a climax or a point within the piece where you've kind of reaching the peak of the limiter, it can be a detriment to not adjust by too much. But they managed to sort of like get to a sweet spot and kind of hold it there for a few minutes. And because the story continues to change, and then you get Ethel's sort of response or version as they move forward, moving back into a final chorus, it really does sort of leave you with that kind of warm, fuzzy feeling inside, despite the emptiness that the person feels that they're discussing. And I think also, just as a final note, the music might be trying to be as kind of beautiful as the person that they're describing there, or sort of like a danger and sort of like Stranger Things, this kind of aesthetic there where like there's more than meets the eye. I'm not sure. Like a rite of passage, like coming of age kind of story there. But it's timeless. And thank you to Dinnerhay for putting that track forward. I had a great time with it. I think it was really neat. Really good song. So, what else? Was there any other music news that we had? Just to confirm. There's more protest music. Of course more protest music. Why would there not be? I mean, to be fair, it's the time for it, I suppose, depending on your viewpoint. I think everyone's pretty upset at the moment. That's Billboard. Was it Billboard? Yeah, it was. Yeah. Did we look into Enemy? Yeah, we did. We had a look into Enemy initially, so that was cool. Yeah, no, we had a look at that because someone got shot for singing Linkin Park. That was pretty wild, man. That was pretty strange. I don't know if I even want to care for the context behind that. I don't personally feel there's a reason to ever shoot someone for singing a song on stage. That's interesting. A New Zealand musician who was intricately involved with Guns N' Roses has opened up about working with the Nightmare Rockers. Alan Niven, who was born in Wellington and moved to the United Kingdom with his family as a child, managed a notorious rock band for 5 years during the turbulent rise for fame. No. Niven alleged he was approached by the group 3 times before finally accepting their managerial job offer in 1986 in an interview with the Daily Mail. That would have been wild. That would have been wild. That specific period for Guns N' Roses was like just crazy. No one wanted Guns N' Roses. They'd been through at least 2 other management situations. They couldn't get rid of them fast enough. No one wanted to deal with them. They were a nightmare. To Nevin's bewilderment, Slash then allegedly picked up a fluffy white bunny and fed it to a large snake stored in a neighboring room. Like, what is this? What is this band? A part of the motivation for forming a band was not just to make noise, not just to get laid, but to create your own perfect family that substitutes that. Now, in terms of how does that relate to recreational drugs use or addiction, I believe people from dysfunctional circumstances are prone to addiction. Fair. Fair. It's crazy. Just as a closing comment, because I don't actually think we have any more requests, and that's fine if we don't. I was glad to hear that Ethel Cain track. Do we have audio? Was there audio with that part there? There was. Just making sure my meters are good. Making sure my meters are good. I can't believe that they made it through it. Honestly, I'm surprised that Guns N' Roses weren't even more kind of like dangerous and sort of chaotic than they were. Okay, so I think genuinely we're probably good. I feel like I've had the music news. Oh, we've had a thing, a Ko-fi. Thank you. Who sent that through? That was from Jacob. Thank you, Jacob. What has Jacob sent through for us today? Jacob, could you do me a favor? Can you please do me a favor? Can you please have a think about the album that you want for next weekend? I know that you've been thinking about it, but I have to have surgery the week after. So I won't be able to do the album review the week after. I'll need to do it next weekend. Okay? Just so you know, like I won't be doing any live streams on the first week of August because I have to get my nose done. Because I need to get a septoplasty and a bilateral turbo thingamabotsit. So just so you know in advance, okay? So if there's also patron videos you want done, it's probably better to get those in this week. That way I will be able to do them because I probably won't be able to do them after I do my operation on the 29th. I'll make a note of that on the Patreon as well, just so people know. But yeah. So what have we got from Jacob, though? We have got Damien Rice, Rootless Tree. Yeah, this is silly. There we go. Okay, let's do it. What do we have from Damien Rice? It's been a while since we listened to Damien Rice. But this is Jacob's request.
From you is empty your head, and they say, be true, and don't stay.
Oh, is it the same? Sorry, I'll use the link you gave me. It's just there was 144p.
What I want from you is empty your head, and they say, be true, and don't stain your bed. But we do what we need to be free, and this leaves on me just like a rootless tree. What I want from us is empty our minds, and we fake the fuss and fracture the times that we go blind when we've needed to see. And this leans on me just like a rootless. Fuck yeah, and all we've been through, I said leave it. 'Cause it's nothing to you, and if you hate me, then hate me so good that you can let me out. Let me out, let me out all this time when you're around. Let me out, let me out, let me out. Hell, when you're
I love how quiet the strings are, and how they arpeggiate as a contrast to the piano parts.
from this is learn to let go. No, not of you, of all that's been told. But killers reinvent and believe, and this leans on me just like a rootless. Fuck yeah, and all we've been through, I said leave it. It's nothing to you, and if you hate me, when you're around, let me out, let me out, let me out. Hell, when you're around, let me out, let me out.
Great use of dynamic range here.
Hell, when you're around.
Okay, so that was Damien Rice with Live from Every Road, Rootless Tree. So what do we think Rootless Tree is about?
The times that we go blind when we've needed to see, and this leans on me.
So I think that this is about someone who is just trapped in a situation with another, or in general, and they simply don't have the roots they have as that rootless tree. And they want to get out of the situation and just they're desperate for it. There is a increase in the aggression and frustration there, and it's voiced really effectively by Damien as we go through it. They're incredibly, expressive, and I think that's what you kind of need in this situation. The last thing you want is to have someone seeming like they're sort of monotonous about it. And these sort of examples where like there's such huge amounts of sort of like weight involved to it. So what's kind of interesting with this track is it's about someone, I suppose it's Damien's performance, but how it contrasts to a lot of what else is going on in the piece. The string section, the piano, and the lady vocalist behind him, a lot of it they do try and match the relative intensity and energy of what we're of Damien, but his texture of his voice and the way he communicates, and I think he's crying at one point. And so all of these sort of like decisions and actions and sort of like outputs from Damien are far less measured than the rest of everything else going on. Behind or underneath Damien, a lot of it's very similar. Like you've got a relatively, like you've got development and sort of furthering of some of the string arpeggios and stuff like that. The keys, they continue at a steady pace with those triads, but Damien sort of adjusts, says there's more and less of the piece there. And as we go through the piece, we get to that kind of top of the bell section near the end where he's like screaming out, and just eventually it kind of peters out in a way that's just really sort of like intriguing. So I think one of the things here is just the authenticity of the performance, how sort of direct Damien is here and how that relates to the subject matter. It makes it more believable. It's also the structure of the track and the way that it's put together, where a lot of really similar components are repeated, but in a way where there's just slight adjustments and the overall intensity grows over time. I mean, like, again, we it's almost like a staircase in terms of development there. We add one instrument after the other there, and it just kind of builds over time. Like, I think that having the drums come in like at the halfway point is a nice sort of like way to sort of like give it a further sense of groove without having to adjust too much of what Damien is doing in that part if we're being measured through those verses, with the choruses being where a lot of the kind of push really occurs. And it's interesting because we almost like are trying to sort of speculate and just kind of break the listener in the way that a lot of what's going on instrumentally is relatively inoffensive. There's nothing there that is like, oh, this is far too intense or kind of dire or terrible sounding. It's minor, but it's not like diminished or anything like that. It's a piece where we have a repeated loop with further sort of filling of the frequency spectrum, and also in terms of the various rhythms involved, with like, again, like the keys and the string section with the arpeggios contrasting rhythmically. It's more that you're almost furthering just not only Damien being the focal point, being the main point of change throughout it, but also that the simplicity or relative kind of accessibility of a lot of those harmonic and melodic ideas there, the way they integrate and without Damien involved would probably be far less interesting, is worth noting here. We're deliberately making decisions here to kind of cement this track as like a day in the life of a person struggling through it, and they're just desperate to escape. And that's their one chance, and they realize they've got a chance, so they're screaming out for it. So I think those are a few of the things I think I've done really well with this track. I mean, clearly, Damien Rice has got a very loyal following there. He's very sort of like competent, especially with his live scenes. And I've heard from people that his live music is better than his studio stuff. I think it's important as a musician to be able to express yourself authentically when it's relevant to do so. In situations like this, where it is clearly so personal to Damien, having him be flexible like that is just absolutely the epitome of utility there. So thank you to Jacob for putting that track through. I really appreciate it. That song from Damien Rice, titled Rootless Tree, live from Abbey Road. Very cool. Oh, we've got a few more. We got one from Dr. Theo. Hello, Dr. Theo. How are you today? Hopefully you're well. Hopefully you're having a good day so far today. So what have we got from Dr. Theo? We have... Theo... Uprising by Sabaton. See, I like Sabaton, but I'm not familiar enough with their music to be able to go, hey, here are my top 5, you know. Sabaton is my first experience with heavy metal. I listened to these guys endlessly when I was a teen, and eventually my taste got heavier and heavier, but I still have a soft spot for these guys. I posted what the song is about from Genius. The song is about the Warsaw Uprising in 1944 when forces of the Polish resistance engaged the Nazis occupying forces in an attempt to liberate the city. I'm going to probably read through the rest of it in my own time, but I appreciate the context. It's great when you have musicians make songs about historical events and it's outside of themselves, you know. You can learn things from it. You know what I mean? Yeah, so let's do this. Uprising. Get the lyrics up there. Off of the Coat of Arms album. I love the phasing of the synths here, the filter. Right, sorry, I'll try not to pause this again, but like, I remember why I know this. My partner and I went on a road trip a little while back, and we listened to Sabaton the whole entire time, and it was dope. Huge spectator to that. That would have been a good concert. I'm glad you got the chance to go. And he's just a really fantastic singer as well. There's so much drama and theater behind it, but he puts his all into it as well, you know.
In accordance with the old traditions, 1944, still the Allies burned away, fighting street to street.
Thank you, Jacob. I appreciate that. I look forward to reviewing it.
And they never lost their faith. Women, men, and children fight. They were dying side by side, and the blood they shed upon the streets was a
Great use of backing vocals to call and respond with the main lead.
Whispers of freedom, rise up and hear the call. It's so calling to you, but a shovel
Great tremolo work there. It's just that's the power of an alternate guitar lead as well. You know, having a solo section just as a bit of a palate cleanser, but also just to kind of it just organically lengthens a track and gives its form substance. So yeah, basically it's about the rebellion that occurred when they realized that help wasn't coming for them and they decided to take it into their own hands, you know. And I think that's a wonderful thing to write a song about. I feel like it does such a good job with all things, including the vocals, the backing vocals, the instrumental components there, the synth and guitar signs and everything like that. All of it sort of like the music sort of fills the mood whilst the people tell the story, and I think it's well connected. So what's especially done well here is the actual, I want to comment on the actual feeling of a lot of those sort of strings, those synth parts there, and the sort of triumphant nature of the music there. It does sound like they're going to war. It's in a minor key. You know, you have some heavier elements there and there's like a march and sort of trudging and fighting on, but it's also got this kind of grandiose nature to it, like they're fighting for like a higher power, you know, their own freedom. They're fighting for a purpose there. So it's like kind of cautiously and carefully picking themselves up, ready to sort of like do battle to sort of, you know, save their city. And I think that the fact that you've got the backing vocals kind of working alongside the main, it kind of sounds like the rest of the people in the city are around the main vocalist as they tell that story, which I think is a really neat sort of atmospheric device. It's like everyone's together singing along to that. Everyone's united in their fight against the Nazis. I also like the use of the Warsaw Waltz part. I'm not sure what that means, but I assume it could be like Polish dialect or something like that. And I just think it's you know, rise up and hear the cool history calling to you. It's inspiring. It's a song where like I think doesn't just like directly apply to the people who may have gone through this exact situation or like it's for anyone who's trying to overcome a conflict or who feels oppressed to kind of push forward and make their own future and sort of stand their ground and unite the people around them who are and kind of yeah. It's a sad story, but you know, we're thankful for the people that were able to come push forward and sort of do what they needed to do in order to sort of like kind of fight back. So I think that the way that the melodies are chosen, the main sort of like leads and the vocal parts as well as the harmonies are done is fantastic. It sort of illustrates a sense of unity as well as just sounding incredible. and it's also sort of indicating it's like a nice balance of the minor keys plus the sort of like, again, the inspiring tone of the way that it's designed and sort of calculated, I suppose, or implemented. I think it's also just the general sort of like how tight the rhythm section is between the rhythm guitars, the bass, and the drums. The way you have them go together with the vocals sometimes. There's a unison there, kind of more like the backing vocals with the main sort of like lead there. How everything's kind of in time, and there are some words that are accented from the singer because of how the other kind of kicks and the bass kind of come into time with that. And it's kind of free form, but then it isn't. It's like a deliberate decision to kind of like pull away from the constant nature of the eighth notes on like the hi-hats and the cymbals and stuff like that. It kind of shakes things up in a very, very positive way. And so I think maybe after the context is provided in those chorus and verse sections, you go into that solo section, the guitar just kind of does whatever it's want to do. And I kind of interpret that as like the freedom, the people being able to sort of like rise up and go into the sky and kind of fly around a circle and do whatever they need to do outside of the cage that they're in. And I think that that's again like a kind of an interesting tone there. It's not just a really sort of well phrased and well performed guitar solo with a wide variety of different guitar techniques, such as like bends and tremolo parts and hammer-ons and pull-offs and all sorts of fun stuff, you know. They can clearly play the guitar, but it's also having a rather regimented sort of like slow march forward with a lot of the rhythmic elements there without too much of the fluidity that the lead guitar has, and allowing that sort of like structurally to contrast with the rest of it is very effective. And we don't hang on that for too long there. There's several stages of it. We do go back to the riff there. And I think the final thing I'll sort of talk about here is the actual, it's how, even though it's heavy, I think that if you had the song too dire or dark in its tonality, if you'd had too many sort of really genuinely harsh chord choices or sort of harmonic textures or like flat fifths or like uncomfortable moments, it would have almost inferred musically that they were losing that fight. So I think that if they'd gone too dark with it and not made it as sort of like catchy and sort of like upbeat in certain components, weirdly, it just would have been a little bit too kind of like, it wouldn't have hit as hard, I think. They managed to find a really good balance between having some sort of catchier components there, whilst also having the groove and like the bass response, and like the chugged rhythm guitars and everything like that, and the kind of vocal fry and all that. So ultimately, the symphonic elements there with again the strings and the choirs and everything like that added up and make it seem larger than life. And it's just a really well written and well fleshed out track from a band that I do have an appreciation for. So thank you to Dr. Theo for putting that forward. I really appreciate it. It's great to hear it. Yeah, exactly. It's a celebration of rebellion. I'm not really sure how to like describe it because it's not a minor tone, but it's almost like we have brighter elements to infer that we're going in a better direction. It's a lot of the time to really like sort of like cement a quote unquote heavy metal track, like a brutal heavy metal track, you need a lot of like low tuned guitars and like chugs and stuff like that. And if you're going to have the upper elements, you want those kind of harsher, grittier textures and kind of glitchy components there to sort of make it sound sort of feral. But we don't have that here. It's rather regimented. There are some sort of, it's like sort of some brass kind of military bandist kind of stuff going on here alongside that. So it's well rounded, I think. It's a really sort of like mature piece for sure. So I think that's solid. I think that was really good. What album was it? What album was it? Oh, I don't know which one it was. I've seen that. I don't know which album it was. It might have been The War to End All Wars, I think, was the one that I checked out. Yeah, it's this one, The War to End All Wars. This is the one I listened through with my partner. They aren't really into metal, but they really enjoyed it. I wonder if it's their decision to do power metal is because they want to tell these stories to as many people as possible. And it clearly worked. I think that's it. I think that... What do you think? You know, what's your interpretation of it? If that's your interpretation, I agree with it. I think there are stories where you need to find a way that people will want to hear them in order for it to matter. A lot of people will say they want to hear things, but they don't. You kind of need to sweeten it a little bit in order to kind of make it make sense to even sort of hear it properly, you know. And it's not just listening to it casually, it's having it actually catch them, you know. If they were death or black metal, it would have been a lot more niche. I agree with that, for sure. Just want to sort of like thank Jacob in case he missed it. Thank you to Jacob for confirming the album that we're going to be listening to next weekend. I really appreciate it. See, I do want to do album reviews at the end of each month and like the last Sunday of each month. And so Jacob's chosen Plastic Beach. And so anyone on the $12 tier Patreon monthly thing will be able to choose an annual album review. So that'll be good. I've actually been meaning to listen through Plastic Beach for a while, but thankfully I haven't. So what do we got? Yeah, no, it's going to be a long review, but we'll do it for sure. Yeah. So this definitely fits the bill. It's 16 tracks and it's 56 minutes. Should be exciting. There's a whole lot of people involved in it, eh? They did some really interesting stuff during the COVID stuff. They did some like a lot of like, no, actually maybe post COVID. They did a lot of like live kind of like, did like a lot of sort of like collaborations and stuff like that with other musicians on like and videos and stuff like that, like little kind of like short form videos. They're a great band. So yeah, this will be next week. Tomorrow we have BTS. We're going to be doing the top 5, and then yeah. So I think what we're going to do is we're probably going to go queue closed, simply because it's just been a quiet day, and I think I might go get myself a drink and just go vibe. Yeah. I'll give it a minute in case anybody's started to put through some requests, because I think last weekend there was someone that was like halfway through a request and then I closed the queue and their request came through. So I just want to make sure that doesn't happen this time. Anything else I wanted to talk about? Yeah. No, not really. Hopefully you're all having a nice weekend. I don't know what it's like for you guys at the moment. Here where I live, it's just cold. So you just kind of hibernate for a few months until the springtime, and then the plants come out, and then the sun comes out a bit, and then things are chill. But yeah, no, I think we're good. Okay, so we're gonna basically close it here for today. Thank you to who did we have today? We had Dinner Hay as well as Jacob Good and Dr. Theo, who submitted tracks. Thank you for your requests. I appreciate it. Thank you to all of you who have come to check out the video. Just before we finish, yeah, just I know I've said this a few times now, but to confirm, BDS top 5 tomorrow, and then we have the Gorillaz Plastic Beach album next weekend. But stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And hang on, did I address this real quick? If they were death or black metal, it would have been a lot more niche. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, I agree with that too. I think that if it was, you've just got to figure out your medium. There was a massive push with metal in like the late 2000s, and it was like, if your metal isn't disgusting sounding, then it isn't metal. And it's just, I get it, because there's like people who are very much kind of purist, and they're like, metal is what I think metal is, and there's just not a lot of flexibility in that regard, like the kind of the purists, but music's music, man. It just, people have their own flavor, their own sauce. I just feel like it's just a really kind of depressing universe if we can't be flexible on what music we listen to, just simply because we're trying to gatekeep it. But yeah, basically there. stay cool, stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever. And I will catch you all in the next live stream. Spiderhands out. 3, 2, 1. Boop.